Bright Suns, travelers. I am Master Magnus, and today we'll be talking about an exciting lightsaber that you'll find from Ultrasabers, which is the Fulcrum set. Now, this is one of the sabers that, while Ultrasabers is not manufacturing, they are selling. So let's just break it off. So here is the box that comes in, which honestly, I just love the box itself. I look forward to finding some use for it because I just love the overall design that the box comes into. Now, this is the Fulcrum set that you would see used by Ahsoka Tano in the Mandalorian series, in Rebels. These are a very unique hilt, very katana-like. You have her long katana and Shoto sabers. Ahsoka Tano has been known for her dual wielding two different sabers. So first thing I'm going to start off with, they feel great in the hand. Let's just take a look at the katana one. So here we have our belt clip, we have a covert tech clip, and we have the activation switch. Nice detailing of the emitter, and the rest is kind of like a shiny matte silver in color. So this is a xenopixel blade. So it is a string of LEDs that run the entire length that allows for a lot of unique features. So this is the overall katana for her Shoto, her offhanded weapon. Similar in design work, where you could see that it comes as a set. You could see that they belong to each other as a set pair. So let's just start off with, you're going to turn it on, press the button once. Power on. So that is on. I'm going to do the same thing for her Shoto. Power on. So right now we have activation on. If we were to charge this, now I'll say my one thing I have not enjoyed with this is that this is a rechargeable saber, but there is no recharging port. I know other companies have released a Ahsoka Fulcrum saber with recharging port. What you need to do is you need to unscrew the activation switch, you need to unscrew the covert tech wheel, you need to unscrew the other bolt, slide this off, and then this whole panel comes off, and then you plug in the charger. So the box that it comes in does come with a charging cable, so that's good. And it gives you two, one for each saber, so you could charge both, so that this way you don't have to like charge one and then, oh no, I have to charge the other. Let me just turn that off. Okay, so the saber is motion activated. So once turned on, you'll be able to control some of it through motion control. So let's get one of the blades in, and let's just take a little look over here. Now I put a little bit of packing tape on it. This way it kind of holds it in place. There's a little bit of a wobble. And since I am not going to be doing any dueling with this one, I don't mind that there is no wobble to take in some of the stress of the blade. So now that this is on and it's activated by pressing the button. Okay, now I pressed it for 2 seconds, so I've muted it. I'm going to press it again for 2 seconds. And I'm going to start playing around with the volume. So I turned it to a low volume. So I'm going to press it. Now the saber has been activated. So let's just take again a look at that activation. I'm going to hold it down to turn it off. I'm going to press it and activate it. So with that, you have a nice long activation that goes with this. Now, being a NeoPixel, you get a lot of features with this. You could change the settings, you could change the color, you could change the pulse. If you hold it for 10 seconds, it cycles through about 10 different preset features. So, for example, I'm going to press this, I'm going to turn it off. And I'm going to turn it on again so you can see. Now, while it's on, you have elements like blaster. Now I have this set up as if it is like a medieval saber blade. You have the sound of it unsheathing, but you have the blaster bolts, or in this case arrow bolts, that are going through this. So I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to change the settings. I'm going to hold it down.
Serenity.
So that's Serenity feature. So now we have a different activation and a different sound font. Now I have it set to green, but I can change the color to whatever color I want. But I'm going to turn this off again. And I'll hold it down and we'll change the setting again.
The champion.
So this one has a very heavy pulse to it. So again, you could change the speed of the pulse. You could change the speed or the volume of the sound that you have.
Revisited.
So again, changing sound fonts. So we have a little bit of a tip dragging. So if you're dragging along the floor, you want that kind of look, you could do that. I'm going to turn that off. And I'll change like one or two other features. The learner. So some of them will have like, phaser blades where you're shooting it out like a gun. Interesting. Some of the fonts that come in, I wouldn't mind maybe a few less. It'll be easier to cycle through.
The second.
So as you can see, very strong pulse, and the activation came from multiple sides. And we'll just do one other. So we have Rainbow Blade here. There's Candy Blade. So, you could go very seasonal with the Candy Blade. You have a really cool Rainbow Blade action going here. So it definitely gives you a lot of options. Now, for me, I've owned a lot of LED-based, Tri-Rebels, Kree Star, Saber, emitters, the light uses. I've done building from like custom Saber shop, or purchased Ultrasabers, or from Saber Forge, things of that nature, where it's just really one strong LED. This is the first Saber that we have that is a string of LEDs that belong to like the xenopixel kind of community, and it's unique. It definitely opens up a lot of options that never had before. Now, would I be inclined to take this and do a lightsaber show or dueling with it? Probably not. I'd probably not be that engaged to do that. But a convention, yes, the Sailor Moon one, which is fantastic. Your Sailor Moon. I know that some of the companies have like a crescent wand saber that I think that font was directly made for. So that is kind of fun as an option.
I've been waiting for this day for a long time.
So one element that is very neat when it comes to this blade is that it is motion gestured. So as you notice, while it's on, I press down the button. So currently I'm changing out the color of the blade. It'll cycle through. So when it was on, I just press the button and I press it for 2 seconds, and it'll cycle through until I see a color I like. And I'll just let it cycle through all the colors that are made available. Now I'll tell you, this thing is bright. It is an extremely bright saber. So if you've never owned a xenopixel before, don't worry about the brightness, because you really do have a good selection of brightness when it comes with these types of blades. So I'll just let it finish through this one cycle of colors, and then we'll just turn this one off and we'll just take a look at the Shoto. So that brings us to green. So I'm going to press it again. I've locked in my color. I'm going to deactivate. And it's very neat. You have a lot of sound fonts to work with, and you have a lot of presets.
I'm the Jedi.
So if you don't want to actually go through, playing around with the colors, playing around with the pulses, playing around with the sound fonts, you could just use one of the presets that are there and just go with that. And that might also save you effort if you just don't want to worry, or say you're at a convention or a show and it's like, okay, oh, I'm a Jedi right now. You know what? I want to be a Sith. Let me just press the button a couple of times and just get to the Sith setting. It does give you that option. So we have things like Dark Saber, for example, and with the Dark Saber font. So let me just turn that off now. So if you've never owned a xenopixel, I would suggest grab one. It's a lot of fun. Now, what we got from Ultrasabers, it came with 2 hilts and 2 blades. The blades are the same length. I wished, since we were dealing with the Ahsoka's sabers, where there is a shorter Shoto hilt, that we would have had a shorter blade. But you know what? It's not that big of a deal. I could always just go and get a shorter xenopixel blade. Right now, these days, they're not as expensive as they used to be. So it's not that much of a big deal if it happens to be that I want to get just a slightly shorter one, so that we could have 2 sabers going with a short blade and a long blade to mirror what we're seeing in Rebels or The Mandalorian. So I'm going to activate. So again, that was the sound font that we had set up previously. I'm going to start changing out the colors if I wanted. Again, I press it down for 2 seconds, and then I just let it cycle through, and then I'm going to deactivate. And again, what was on the katana, same as the Shoto. So now, let's talk about the elements here. So, if you go to Ultrasabers, they show for about $1,000 for the set of 2. Now, when I got these, I got them during the May the 4th sale, so they were about 50% off. So that came closer to about $500, which $500 for 2, I would say, screen accurate hilts, $250 each for xenopixel. That's a good deal. So $1,000 was a little heavy on the price part, but I could see why, because I have seen xenopixels going as high as $500 just for a single saber, so, or even higher in price. So I was lucky that I found them for a good sale price. They are a gorgeous saber. The detailing is really good. It's definitely good for a table piece. It's really good for going off to a con. It's really good for costuming or just adding to your overall collection. So I like the flexibility that you get from there. You could change the pulse, you could change the sound font, you could change the color, and also the pre-made fonts in there also makes it easier if you just don't want to sit there all day, which you could easily sit there all day playing around with, what's this sound? Well, let me mix that color, that pulse with this sound and this font. You can. The activations, there's a wide range of activations, from coming up the blade, from starting in the middle. There's a lot of different activations that go with there as well. So this definitely, a xenopixel and this Ahsoka set, I would strongly suggest grabbing. One, just because of, it fits amazingly well in the hands. Like this, kind of rectangular grip is really fun to play with. It's good in the hand, has a good weight, a good balance to it. And overall, if you are an Ahsoka fan or a Rebels or Mandalorian fan, this is definitely something fun to grab. And again, you have that element of that motion controlled element that by controlling your motions, you're able to activate it and deactivate it. I would say the motion controls can be a little more difficult on like a curved hilt, but not as much. So again, if you're looking for something unique in design, I would strongly suggest grab the Fulcrum set from Ultrasabers. It is a fun saber to use. So may the force be with you. This is Master Magnus.